Hello everyone in Oneness. Thank you so much for watching this video. I am Jessica Delmar, and first of all, I want to thank everyone for all of your support and comments and feedback regarding my last video where I spoke about this I am presence that is not only strong within me, opening up, but also I feel very strong in a lot of you guys opening up your I am presence, that inner empowerment, stepping into your inner truth. Like we're all kind of stepping into this next phase of our expansion. And the I am presence, it's this energy that I feel is very much calling for a lot of us to step into in order to expand into that next level of our journey, if you will, or our next level of expansion that we have yet to unfold for each of us. So thank you for being here on my journey, and I am here for you on your journey. This video is going to be a continuation of the 4 realms of Gaia and opening to magic. This is part 6, and in this video we are going to be speaking about something a little convoluted. It may not sit right with everyone, but this is what came through, and I was guided to share something that came through one of my client high vibrational heart messages that came through for her as I was working with her guides in oneness to bring forward a message for her to hear at this moment. And so I'm going to be sharing some of the messages from this client session. They used to be called high vibe heart readings, but they've kind of evolved into just messages for the client, something that they need to hear at this moment. A lot of times the guides will come in and just bring forward all this information that the person needs to hear on a much deeper level or needs to activate on a much deeper level. So sometimes this like bigger information comes through and the client might be like, why? I don't know what to do with this information. But for some reason, connecting with the client and connecting with the client spirit guidance teams, this is a co-creation process between me and my guidance team, Abe, and my client's guidance team and my client. So we're bringing forward this information, or this information is being presented for the client for a reason. And sometimes we don't know what that reason is right now. It may begin to unfold for the client as the person continues on their journey. Or sometimes the person just needs some sort of activation code that's held within the information coming forward for the person via our guidance teams in oneness. So I'm just bringing forward the information that comes through in our co-creation process. And for a recent client, something came through regarding Jesus and the realms of Gaia. And so when I sat down to tap into what should come forward for part 6 of this 4 realms of Gaia and opening to magic, I was told to share this session or share the relevant information in this session. I won't be sharing any personal information, just something or just the information that pertains and is relevant for everybody. So I want to thank my client for allowing me to share this information. Let's get right into it. So the energy that came through when connecting to my client and bringing forward our spirit guidance teams in oneness was the energy of Yeshua or Jesus. And what came through was that the Jesus, it was like the energy of Jesus, so maybe Christ consciousness energy was part of the spirit guidance team of my client. And the first thing I asked was, do you prefer Yeshua or Jesus? Because Jesus has come through to speak with me a few times, or his energy has come up for me, maybe in Christ consciousness energy. And it really depends. It like toggles between Yeshua and Jesus. And what came through is that Jesus comes up when speaking in connection with the earth plane, because Jesus was very much his earthly name that was given to him. And then Yeshua comes up when speaking in connection to bigger things like source and the universe, and when that energy of oneness really comes through, because Yeshua was the source given name to the energy of Jesus / Yeshua. And of course, Jesus / Yeshua is part of that greater Christ consciousness energy that is connected to everyone and connected to the entire planet at this time, because especially with Easter this month, I feel the Christ consciousness energy very, very strong on the planet and weaving within a lot of people, a lot of light workers at this time to help people. I feel it very connected to the I am presence. I feel it connected to that, the calling of many people to step into their I am presence. For some reason that's intertwined. It's like woven with Christ consciousness energy that I'm seeing right now. But anyway, so it was no surprise that Jesus, Yeshua, came through for my client at this time, because I did do my client's reading around the time of Easter, I believe. It was April 25th. So the first thing I asked was, do you prefer Yeshua or Jesus? And what came through again was, Yeshua is the name given to me by Source. Jesus is the name given to me by Gaia Earth. I asked, what activations are you providing in the light language for my client? And what came through was, the light language is definitely activating these connections to the knowledge of Jesus on the planet that my client holds in her soul memory and her inner lost knowledge. And then I began really strongly getting this feeling of Jesus being connected to the realms of Gaia. And of course, everything in my life, there's been so many synchronicities happening in terms of information opening up for me in relationship or in connection to things that are brought into my everyday awareness. It's almost like this greater energy is working with my physical reality to bring things into my awareness, my conscious mind, for me to say, hey, yeah, I do need to dig deeper into this, or this is a clue to something that is going to come forward for me, or I need to tap into this one thing because it's calling for me to tap into it. And this is not just myself. This is how things work with all of you in retrieving your inner lost knowledge. When you resonate strongly with something, when something is put into your physical conscious awareness, especially if it keeps repeating itself, then it's saying, hey, pay attention to me. I am valuable. I am a breadcrumb on your journey, and you should look into me. So this is something that you need to keep in mind when it's like people are asking, how can I bring forward my inner lost knowledge? And the answer is that your inner lost knowledge is constantly being presented to you in your everyday awareness. It's constantly being presented to you every single day with things that you resonate with. They are breadcrumbs to help you get to the next breadcrumb and the next breadcrumb to help you open this information up within you in your conscious mind first. So oftentimes for people, they need that conscious mind awareness, recognition, realization, remembrance of this thing, even if it's a slight resonance with, something, for example, this information, particularly this one piece of information that I'm reading about ancient Egypt, for example, is very, very interesting to me. I resonate very strongly with it. That if you resonate very strongly with it, then it obviously is trying to open up something within you. And so just by having that in your conscious awareness, it is doing so much more on a deeper cellular level that will help to then build that chain reaction, or getting those dominoes to fall for that greater awareness in your soul memory to come through and be recognized and realized and remembered by you. And so that's why it's very important at this time to pay attention to the things that are in your awareness, because that is how your inner lost knowledge unfolds for you. And that's how it's always presented to me in bringing forward my own inner lost knowledge, or understanding that this, certain things mean very, very powerful things for me to look into, or I know that it's going to connect something within me in the future. So anyway, long story short, something came into my awareness just within the past couple of weeks that helped me, I feel, to bring forward this information for my client. So it helped add to this co-creation between me and my client and our spirit guidance teams in oneness. So again, I was getting that very strong feeling of Jesus and his connection to the realms of Gaia. What came through was, after the crucifixion of Christ, in the lost hearts of earth was the lost connection to oneness. The crucifixion of Christ marked the fall into the linear timeline portal. If you're unfamiliar with this linear timeline portal, go ahead and watch. I did a couple of videos called Convoluted Time. I'll add a link to that playlist below, and I speak all about the linear timeline portal, contracting energy, birthing energy, this hourglass sort of figure of time within the earth space, if you will. So what came through is, in the linear timeline portal, humanity on earth dipped into even lower vibration and dimension. So again, following or after the crucifixion of Christ, humanity went into the linear timeline portal. It was kind of like the crucifixion of Christ I saw was that the last straw in where humanity finally dipped all the way into the linear timeline portal and into even lower dimension and vibration. The time of Jesus was the time of the fifth dimension on earth before it dipped into the lower vibration and dimension of the linear timeline portal. So the linear timeline portal is basically the third dimension. We'll go over more of this as well and clarify this. In your ascension process, your planet is coming out of the linear timeline portal and opening into the fifth dimension on the other side. When Jesus was crucified, the Bible states that in 3 days he would rise. At the end of the third day, Gaia plunged into the linear timeline portal and into the third dimension from the fifth dimension, and Jesus, being the Son of God, rose again. However, when Jesus rose, humanity had fallen into the third dimension, and Jesus rose where he died, in the fifth dimension. So, in rising again, humanity was nowhere to be found. They had crossed the veil into the third dimension, and Jesus was finally free to walk the earth again. In the earth that Jesus awakened to was a much quieter earth. Not many other people were there, and the people who were still on the fifth dimensional earth plane were Jesus' family. Jesus' family incarnated into the planet to fulfill a greater mission from Source. They were a family of Source souls sent to the planet at that time to help open consciousness in people so that humanity would not forget their connection to Source and higher consciousness while in that third dimensional linear timeline portal. They were to teach the connection to Source to people just before humanity would plunge into the linear timeline portal so that humanity would not forget. I asked, did the crucifixion and the betrayal of Christ happen in the fifth dimension? If so, how? I thought that the fifth dimension did not have that type of duality. And what came through was that the crucifixion of Christ and the rise of duality happened in the fourth dimension, or rather the portal between the fifth and the third dimensions, just before the dip fully into the third dimension. As the vibration in consciousness lowered, duality increased. Jesus, although always existing in the fifth dimension, was still able to connect to the lowering humanity while they went through the fourth dimensional portal. It was the opening into the third dimension that humanity would cross the veil and Jesus would no longer be able to reach them. In your ascension, the energy, vibration, and consciousness is rising, so people open up to less dramatic duality and open up more to expansion rather than the contraction that people experienced in the dip into the third dimension. So during the time of Jesus in the fifth dimension, as they moved through the fourth dimension, instead of expanding their energy, they were contracting their energy because they were moving into the linear third dimensional portal. Versus right now, we are moving from that third dimensional portal, opening up into that fourth dimensional portal that connects the third to the fifth dimension. And then so we're opening and expanding energy rather than contracting energy. I asked, so what happened next with Christ? And what came through was Jesus awakened in the fifth dimension where he left off. Meanwhile, as humanity plunged into the third dimension on the third day after the death of Jesus, they found that he had disappeared. In reality, it was simply the veil between two different dimensional realities. Humanity could not perceive Jesus due to the vibrational misalignment and vice versa. Jesus was fully aware of what had happened. He connected back with his family. At this moment, bringing forward the information, I just had a feeling of family, but I wasn't sure exactly which members of the family. And then later on, it kind of streamlines a little bit more for me in feeling like maybe it wasn't all of his family, maybe it was only Mary Magdalene, but I'm not 100% sure. So again, he connected back to his family or the energy of his family, and a portal was opened for Jesus to enter into the realms of Gaia, more specifically, Avalon. On the fifth dimensional earth plane, there were not many people, if any, besides Jesus and certain members of his family. So I write here that now I'm beginning to feel like it was only Mary Magdalene, not other members of his family. What had come through next in connecting to the information was that what's coming through is that Mary Magdalene was granted access to stay in the fifth dimension as the rest of humanity crossed the veil into the third dimension because Jesus asked Source or God to keep Mary Magdalene in the fifth dimension. When Jesus woke up after the 3 days, they would be reunited. What came through next is there were not any other people in the fifth dimension because all of humanity had crossed over into the third dimension. So Gaia opened up a portal for Jesus and Mary Magdalene to enter into Avalon and the realms of Gaia so that they could walk the earth in a high vibrational plane, basically with others and not by themselves. In the realms of Gaia, Jesus found home in Avalon. And it was there that he met the past incarnation of my client. They lived in the same village, and some people of the village would gather as Jesus spoke to them about the teachings of Source, God, the universe, creation, and especially about the physical plane of Gaia and humanity's course of experience from the fifth dimension into the third dimension. Jesus' teachings in Avalon opened the knowledge of the physical earth plane into the realms of Gaia. The people of Avalon now knew about what was going on in the physical plane and all about the decline into the third dimension and linear timeline portal of Gaia, as well as the coming ascension at the end of the linear timeline portal many, many years in the future, the time that we're in right now as we ascend out of the linear timeline portal. So it was like Jesus spoke to them about this time that we're in right now. So the people of Avalon, the realms of Gaia, opened up the knowledge of this entire thing, the descension or the descending into the third dimension, as well as the ascension, the ascending up out of the third dimension and back into the fifth. Jesus opened up not only knowledge within the realms of Gaia, but a strong Christ consciousness energy within the realms of Gaia as well. What came next is Jesus opened knowledge within the physical earth plane and the non-physical realms of Gaia. While in the realms in Avalon, Jesus taught the people there how to survive throughout this time as the physical body of Gaia went through the linear timeline portal of the third dimension. Because the energetic bodies of Gaia are directly connected to the physical body of Gaia, the realms would be affected too. They would still be of higher vibration and on a separate plane of existence, but they would still be affected by the physical experiences of Gaia. So, Jesus opened knowledge in the realms on how to keep the connection to the greater source and hold on to magic. Unfortunately, the realms also suffered a decline of vibrational frequency and disconnected from their higher vibrational magic and energy. But some people in Avalon and the realms were able to hold on to that magic, such as Merlin and a few others. My client lived in a small village, the same village that Jesus and Mary Magdalene lived in during their time in Avalon. This was away from the larger city of Avalon and much quieter. So although most of the people of Avalon in the greater areas lost their connection to magic in the realms, the people of this small village stayed connected to the teachings of Jesus and were able to hold their connection to magic and higher vibration. They lived in stark contrast to the other people of Avalon's greater areas. So, in this time spent in this small village with Jesus in Avalon, my client had knowledge of these intimate teachings of Jesus, magic, and Source Creator. These memories are stored within the inner lost knowledge of my client. The exact teachings of Jesus while in Avalon are secret. They are held within the soul memories of those who were there, and there were not many. The teachings of Jesus in Avalon were different from the teachings of Jesus on the physical earth plane. Jesus did not need to teach or remind the people of the realm and Avalon about their connection to a greater source energy and magic, because they already knew it, unlike the people on the physical earth plane who were disconnecting from source. So Jesus needed to remind people on the physical earth plane how to keep their connection to this greater source. So, Jesus' teachings in Avalon were about holding on to magic and connecting magic to the inner source within. And then I had a vision of Jesus being able to do these really amazing things with magic. And I wrote, he is showing a small circle of people of that little village pure magic with his hands. Like I could see the energy coming out from his hands. In Avalon, he was able to tap into the greater vibrational energy that was lighter than when he was on the physical plane of Gaia, so he could open up his magic more. What came next is what this message holds for my client, but at the same time, I also feel like this is what is held within many of you who are listening to this message here on YouTube, who need to hear this message and have things within you that need to be activated. And so what came through is that this message is an activation of awakening for my client to wake those sleeping, dormant cells in DNA that hold this inner lost knowledge of the secret teachings of Jesus in Avalon. Will my client bring forward the exact teachings? That's completely up to her. But most importantly, in this awakening of her cellular and DNA memory, she is awakening the truth knowledge of Jesus' teachings in both the physical and non-physical realms of Gaia into the collective consciousness. So, just by holding your light and truth in knowing your connection to Jesus in Avalon or any time else, you're opening that knowledge and that light, that Christ consciousness into not only your physical body and your physical experience, but you're opening it up into the collective consciousness, affecting masses of people, groups of people, millions of people through just holding your truth in that more awakened light. These secret teachings of Jesus may never be exposed, but the exact teachings do not really matter. What matters is the energy behind those teachings, and that energy is the energy of Christ consciousness. And within Christ consciousness is all knowledge of Jesus. It's directly connected to Jesus and his experiences, not only here on earth, but Jesus's entire soul memory. So all of that information is then therefore connected, and it opens up into the collective consciousness for anybody who is able to tap into it and bring that information and knowledge forward. So it's not necessarily about your direct inner lost knowledge in connection to Jesus. It's about bringing forward that Christ consciousness energy, which will open up that larger soul memory of Jesus himself, or Yeshua himself, to flow into our collective consciousness. And so recognizing yourself as a holder of light, a holder of Christ consciousness energy, you allow that Christ consciousness energy to flow through you and move through you, and through you, it opens up into that collective consciousness. And so in that way, you are a pillar of light. You are a being of light, able to hold this higher Christ consciousness energy and open it up for other people. And so that was the message that came through for my client, and something that I needed to share with you guys for part 6 of the 4 Realms of Gaia. And so now we're beginning to become aware of the Christ consciousness energy that was opened up in the Realms of Gaia, and also contributed to the connection between the Realms of Gaia and the physical plane of Gaia. So again, that Christ consciousness energy just weaving itself throughout every inch of Gaia, energetic, physical. It's playing such a big role right now. And especially right now, as the realms of Gaia are opening up onto the planet, it's connecting that Christ consciousness even deeper within the physical and non-physical energetic bodies of Gaia. And so the way that this greater energy is working on the planet right now is just, it keeps on expanding, and I'm excited to see how it opens up even more. Something that's coming through right now is that they're just connecting the I am presence, like I was speaking about in the beginning, to the Christ consciousness energy. So they're basically confirming that for me, and saying that the I am presence is opening up very strongly right now within people, because it's connected to the Christ consciousness energy, which is opening up very strongly on the planet. Christ consciousness energy is connected in both the physical and the non-physical realms of Gaia. And so in opening up the non-physical realms of Gaia on the physical earth plane, you and your individual physical bodies are also opening up that Christ consciousness energy in your energetic body and your physical body. And so your I am presence, that powerful pool for you to step into your I am presence, more inner empowerment, and especially more inner truth, is coming from that Christ consciousness energy opening up within your energetic bodies and your physical bodies. It's like it's showing me an alignment of your energetic bodies and your physical body coming into alignment through that Christ consciousness energy, through that I am presence, if you will. And that's why it's becoming so powerful within people at this time. And it will continue getting more powerful over the coming months, especially through summer, as you step further and further and further within that inner empowerment, within that Christ consciousness energy. And the Christ consciousness energy, what's coming through is it's been very tied to religion in the past and even in the present. Or rather, Jesus or Yeshua is very tied to religion. But what he wants you to know and what's coming through is that the energy of Jesus or Christ consciousness energy, it is not defined or is not bound within any religion. It goes above and beyond what your 3D minds can perceive as religion, if you will. Religion is something that took that energy and spit it out into something different. And so we want to go back to the original essence of the Christ consciousness energy. The reason why Jesus incarnated on the planet to sort of filter in that Christ consciousness energy onto the planet that goes above and beyond even him and his physical body and his physical experience. This energy of Christ consciousness comes directly from Source itself. And so it uses the vessels of beings of your physical body to open up that Source energy onto the planet. It's simply called Christ consciousness energy because it was opened through Jesus onto the planet at that time when Jesus was incarnated. But if you take away the body of Jesus, that energy is simply Source energy filtered through a physical body, and that physical body was Jesus at that time. And so right now, that same Source energy is being filtered through many physical vessels on the planet at this time, not just one, but right now it's coming back to the planet, opening up within many people who connect to the energy of Jesus. So maybe Jesus, shards of Jesus, possibly soul shards of Jesus. But either way, that energy of Source is filtering through physical bodies once again to open up onto the planet. And in opening up onto the planet, once again, we are opening it up through the realms of Gaia as well as the physical plane, because in the physical vessels of many people on the planet, and where this Christ consciousness energy is running through, or this source energy is running through, those people in their soul memory also have memories of the realms. So that information is opening up, that energy is opening up as well. Everything is connected. So they're just making that connection, that it is just simply the physical vessel that is being used as the filter to bring through that energy in order for that energy to enter up into the collective consciousness. Without the physical vessels, the energy of Christ, that Christ consciousness energy or source energy, it can come to the planet, but it might not open up into the conscious or into the collective consciousness. So it needs the physical vessels. And that's just what came through very, very strongly just now. And so the purpose behind all of that, they're saying, is that this energy is not tied to any religion. You may not associate with Jesus, and that's fine. This energy is coming through no matter what, whether you believe in Jesus or not, because it's not energy of Jesus, it's energy directly from your source creator. And so now is the time to kind of break down the walls of separation that hold these religions separate from each other, because no religion can box in the energy of source. No religion can write down or express the energy of source in a way that creates rules and regulations of this greater source energy. The greater source energy is something that can only be found within you, and it's through you that you're able to begin to remember and rediscover your connection and your own relationship to source itself and your greater creator. And that's what needed to come through for this part 6 of the 4 realms of Gaia. One more thing is, they're saying we're all connected. Our energetic bodies and our physical bodies are directly reflecting in the energetic bodies of Gaia, meaning the realms of Gaia, and the physical body of Gaia, meaning the planet that we walk on. We are connected. We are the same. And so, as the Christ consciousness energy, divine masculine, divine feminine, and the energy of the realms of Gaia are opening onto the planet at this time, those same energies are opening within you, your physical and your energetic body at the same time as well. These energies are working within you to help balance your energy and get you into a place of more balance, 0 point, so that you can recognize yourself as a creator being, and get you in a place in where you can consciously begin manifesting your reality from this more centered, balanced state. This is that yin and yang, the divine masculine, divine feminine opening up within you. And then the realms of Gaia, Christ consciousness energy, is helping you through that balanced state to directly create. So this is your blank palette, and that Christ consciousness energy is helping you to create onto your blank palette from that balanced state. So all of these grand energies on the planet are working within you, directly affecting you, sifting and sorting things within you to help you to get to a place in where you can recognize your power, inner empowerment as a creator being yourself. And this is interesting because it's directly tying me to some interesting information that's been opening up over on the Patreon group, with our soul group over there. We're going to start doing discussions over there, but I'm going to share the information here on YouTube at the same time, because the information I feel should be shared with everyone. So I'm going to share the information here on YouTube, but the further discussions we have over there within the members, or within the members over there, because it's something that we just dive deeper into over on Patreon. But I will bring forward that information here on YouTube when the time is right and when I'm called to share it here, because I already feel the flow of how things are opening up. So I feel like it's going to open up soon, because this is kind of like a precursor to it, if you will. But anyway, that's what I needed to bring through here. Thank you everyone for watching this video. Thank you so much for being here. I am Jessica Delmar, together with you in oneness. Oneness and love be with you.